Alright, so I'm going to install a ceiling fan on this vaulted ceiling. As you can see, it's not your usual cathedral ceiling. It's actually a pretty steep angle. It's 45 degrees. The standard fans that you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, they say they'll come with, if you see, compatible with low ceilings and angled ceilings. The standard one, it doesn't really handle 45 degrees. So what you're going to need is an additional angle ceiling adapter. And you see right here, it says suitable for ceilings up to 45 degrees. So this is an additional thing. It's about 10 bucks at Home Depot. Some other things you're going to need with the angled ceiling is a down rod. You got to figure out the right length you're going to need so the fan blades, when it spins, doesn't hit the ceiling. And something to make it easier to operate the fan. This is a universal ceiling fan remote that actually gets installed to the ceiling fan. So we'll do that so that way we don't have to end up fishing wires down to another switch here for the fan. Just makes it a lot easier and you get the same effect. So. Okay, so I'm in the attic, and the first thing that I need to do is find a constant hot wire so I can power my fan. And I know the area where I want to install my fan is over here. This angled wall just runs all the way, ceiling runs all the way down, and that's where my fan's going to be installed. So I want to find a supply that's a power line that's relatively close to where I'm going to be installing the fan. So in looking, I found this wire right here, and I know that's a hot wire because I used my wire tester, and I'll show you that right now. This wire tester right here is something you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's about $10. You just turn it on. There's a green LED, and you make sure all your switches on the circuit are turned off so you know it's a constant. And you just hold that up to it, and it's blinking red LED and giving me an audible alarm. So it's showing me there's power running to this line right now. And you just want to make sure, like I said, that this is not on a switch. If it was on a switch in the hallway, it would be showing hot if the switch is on. And if the switch is off, it would show that it's not. So again, just it's a constant hot. I've confirmed that because there's no switches on it. I trace the wire back down. It runs down into the wall, and I know that it's not on the switch. So this is where I'm going to install my junction box right here. I'll cut the wire, and then I'll put a junction box in, adding my new line right here that's going to go over to where my fan is going to be installed. Now I have to find where I'm going to mount my fan box. If you see, I've already done it up there. I put a piece of tape marking where I'm going to put the fan box. In this case, I'm using a saddle box, and what that does is it actually saddles the 2x4. You can see the 2x4 or the 2x6 or whatever your support is. It gets saddled on there, it gets screwed in, and goes right from there. The one thing you want to check on your box is make sure it's rated for the weight of the fan that you're using. And usually it'll say it on there. Just remember, a fan is going to be moving. If it's not balanced, it'll be wobbling and shaking. So you want to make sure that your fan's balanced and that you have the proper mount fan box that you're going to use. And because we're using a saddle sleeve, we need to find a stud. To do that, I used I'll show you up here. I used a stud finder, and I located a stud which happens to be right where I need it to be, right here. And just to check to make sure my stud finder was on point, I took a little drywall saw and I poked a hole through, and I can feel that there's stud there. So that's exactly where I want to put my fan. And next thing I got to do is trace out my fan box on the wall and then cut the drywall, and I'll show you that in a second. So you can see that I just traced the box, and then I'm going to cut it out with my drywall saw, and that should expose the stud that I'm going to tap into, and it also gives me a hole to fish the wire up into the attic. So I cut my hole, and with a wire fishing kit, I put the wire fishing rods through and push the cable through, so it should be coming out in the attic where I need to pull it through. Okay, so I'm in the attic, and that yellow wire fishing kit is where I just push the wire through, and I'll just pull it up, pull the wire through, and get it to where I need it to be. I fished my wire from where from the hole that I cut in the fan, it traces over to here, and then where I had my hot wire, I put a junction box. So this wire right here is my initial hot wire. Hopefully you can see it. This wire right here goes into the box, and obviously before you work on it, check it, make sure you turn off the circuit breaker, and then check it again with the wire tester to make sure it's off. And then the wire that I fished is this one right here. This is fished through. So now what I'm going to do is, you see I already stripped everything back. All the Romex is stripped back. It's just match the colors. You have your copper to copper, which is your ground wires. You're going to twist them all together with a wire nut, your whites, and then all three of your blacks. So now what we have is my main hot line that comes through, continues over to where it used to go, and then my new line now has power feed to my fan. And when I'm all done, wire nut it up, put the cover on, and then tack all the wires down with wire tacks, wire staples. You see my white wires are to the white wires, the black wires are to the black wires, and the copper to copper. They're all put together. Make sure you use the right size wire nuts, because if it's too loose, the wires could come out. And always give your wires a tug check. Make sure nothing's going to be loose and come out and come into contact with another wire. So once you have them all wired up, you just tuck them down in, out of the way. You put your cover on, screw it on, and that part is done. Pull my wire through first. Alright, so I fished my wire through. I'm just going to pop this into place here. So you see how this type saddles the 2x4, so I'll fully seat it, I'll put the screw in and secure it, and then later 2 screws will secure right to the stud for a really strong hold. Okay, so I have my 45-degree vaulted ceiling fan mount. It's securely fastened in place. Just to go over a couple things, you obviously want to make sure that you have a fan box, and I talked about before, this fan box in here is rated for 70 pounds. This particular model has you install this mounting bracket first. These screws go in and directly into the stud right here and right here. So this is on very securely into the joist or 2x4, 2x6, whatever your stud is, and then the screws supplied hold this in place, which is actually gonna hold your fan. So just follow the manufacturer's instructions on how to install this properly. And again, if you have a 3/4 inch down rod like I have in this case, make sure that the kit that you get is suitable for both 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch at 45 degrees, because a lot of them you can only use a 1/2 inch at 45 degrees. Now it's time to install the adapter ball that is actually going to be put onto our 3/4 inch down rod. Most of them come with a sleeve. If you see this particular sleeve right here, is if you had a 1/2 inch down rod, it just slips in there, and then a 1/2 inch down rod would adapt in there. So we don't need that because it's a 3/4 inch, so we can throw that out. Now we have the ball, and it'll come with a pin, and all you're going to do is you're going to slide this. Well, this is the threaded side, so you want to make sure it goes on the other side. So the threaded side is where it's going to connect to your actual fan. So this side, you see it has the hole that's going to be for your screw, and I'll show you that in a second, and then the pin. So you're going to slide this down right here. The pin goes in place on both sides like this. So the pin comes through, and then there's little grooves. There's little grooves right in here, and you can see if I just pull it up, it just slides and locks into place, and that will move. And then this screw right here goes in the other hole that I just showed you before, which is right here, and you can see it lines up perfectly. You see right there, the hole lines up, and that's where your screw's going to go, and that keeps the pin from sliding out. I'll screw that in place. And you can see it coming through the other side there. We'll just go all the way until it stops. Don't want to strip it, but there. So that's securely in place now. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so I showed you how to install the ball on the extension rod, and I connected my fan from the fan instructions properly to the other end, as you see there. And all you're going to do then is just lift it up and set the ball into place. And there is a right way to do this. There's a groove on the back side of this right here, and you see it matches up with the groove right there. And what that does is it keeps it from twisting or spinning. So we installed our mount per the instructions, the 45-degree angle, the ball on the pole, and then you just drop it in here, and then you make your wire connections. In this particular case, I used this is a remote, so that way I can control it remotely, but you just match your wires according to however you're supposed to do it per the instructions. So that's how you install a 45-degree mount, and when we're done, we're just going to slide up our dressing and then secure it into place, and we're done. Okay, so here's the final product. The fan's fully installed. I have the 4-foot down rod here. This is a Hunter fan, and I hope this video helped you install a 45-degree vaulted ceiling adapter. If you have any questions, ask in the comments, and give me a thumbs up if you liked the video.